In the corner of a bustling city, there was a small tea shop, and in that shop there was a boy nobody really knew. People didn't call him by a name. They just said, that boy, his days were a silent rhythm. Every morning at 5 a.m. he unlocked the shop, the key cold in his hand. He'd light the stove, the flame a small promise in the dark. He made tea, the aroma filling the quiet air. He washed cups, the clinking sound his only conversation. He swept the floor, clearing away the traces of yesterday. People came and went like the tide. They filled the small space with their stories, their laughter, their worries. They'd sip their tea, their gazes sliding right past the boy who served them. To them, he was just part of the furniture, a silent function. He had no name, so he had no story. One morning, the routine was broken. A man, a regular customer, finished his tea. He placed the empty cup on the counter, but instead of leaving, he looked at the boy. Really looked at him. "What's your name, son?" he asked. The question hung in the air, unexpected. The boy paused, his hands still. He looked down for a moment before quietly replying, "I don't have one. People know me by my work." The man smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. Can someone rise without a name? He wondered aloud. The boy didn't answer. He just stood there, the silence stretching between them, filled with unspoken thoughts. What no one saw, what no one could even imagine, was the boy's life after the shop doors were locked. Every night he would retreat to a small, broken room at the back. It held little more than an old, rickety table, a single worn-out notebook, and a pen that had seen better days. And every single night, under the dim light of a solitary bulb, he wrote. He poured everything onto those pages. The pain of being invisible, the sting of quiet humiliation, the weight of dreams he never dared to speak out loud. His words were a secret rebellion against the world that refused to see him. On the very first page of that battered notebook, in determined, slightly shaky handwriting, were the words, "One day, people will know my name." That notebook was his promise to himself. It was his proof that he existed beyond the tea stains and the clatter of cups. Then came the day everything changed. One afternoon, the street outside the tea shop was completely transformed. It was choked with people, a sea of faces buzzing with excitement. There were cameras everywhere, their lenses like a dozen curious eyes. Reporters with microphones jostled for position. In the middle of it all stood a grand stage, set up right next door. A huge event was about to begin. The whispers in the crowd were all about the guest of honor. A young, brilliant speaker was coming. His new book had sold thousands upon thousands of copies, and the world was captivated by his story. They said he had come from nothing, a true underdog who had fought his way to the top. The event began. The young speaker walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. He stepped up to the microphone, a picture of confidence and success. The crowd fell silent, hanging on his every word. He took a deep breath and began. "I'm standing here today," he said, his voice clear and strong, "because I once worked at a tea shop." A ripple of confusion went through the crowd. They froze. This wasn't the origin story they were expecting. The speaker continued, his voice resonating with emotion. I had no name. People called me that boy. But I wrote every single day in a small, broken room. I wrote because I knew deep in my soul that one day my words would give me an identity. He paused, letting his words sink in. The entire street was silent, captivated. Then he turned his head slowly and looked directly toward the small, humble tea shop. His gaze found the boy standing inside, frozen by the door. The speaker raised the microphone to his lips again. That boy, he still makes tea today. The crowd turned as one, their eyes following his. But from this moment on, the speaker declared, his voice ringing out across the square, I want you to call him by his name, and then into the microphone for the entire world to hear, he said the name. It was his name. The name of the celebrated author, and it was the same name as the boy in the tea shop. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more.